Hi friends, Jan from the Moline Library here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the magnet creatures that are part of the February craft kit for tweens and teens. In your kit you should find some of these little clear pebbles, some googly eyes, and some glue. You'll also need to have some paper and markers, crayons, colored pencils, and some pair of scissors, or possibly a magazine page or something like that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we want to do, if you're using plain paper, is to take the little pebble and you're going to trace around the bottom of that, hopefully without moving it at all, because we need to know approximately how big that's going to be. Next, we're going to color that circle in. So I'm going to use a couple of colors here, and I'm going to do it in lines going out. So I've got that, and then I'm going to do some green around that. Doesn't have to be fancy art, just some nice colors that will look good at the end. And then maybe a darker blue around the outside of that. There we go. All right, as you can see, I didn't really fill in the whole circle because I know I'm going to have to trim that up a little bit. So what I'm going to do next is cut that circle out. And then we will have to compare it with the marble again to see if it fits or not. All right, so there's that. And I'm going to take the marble, put this on the paper so you can see it a little better. And I'm going to put it over, and I can see right away that some of the paper is going to be sticking out. So I'm just going to trim this up a little bit more. Try to get it so that it is as close to the size of the bottom of that little pebble as possible. And looks to me like that's going to be pretty good. I'm sorry, you can't see. That should be pretty good right there. So next what I'm going to do is glue the pebble onto the paper, and you have a little pot of glue, and I'm just going to use cotton swab here and put a dot right in the center of my paper. And then just push this down right on top. Try to make sure that it stays centered. And what's probably going to happen is some of the glue is going to squish out the sides. So make sure that you have a protected workspace. And make sure it's all centered. And there you go. That's the body of our creature. Next, we'll put some eyes on. And you should have a whole bunch of different sizes of eyes. I'm going to use the tiny eyes right here. And I'm just going to dab a little bit of glue on and put it on. I think, see, mine's starting to stick to the paper there. I think I want that to be the front. So put some eyes on right there. And I'm using two of the same sized eyes, but if you want your little creature to have different sized eyes, you can. You could, so that's how you create the body of the creature. And again, that glue is going to kind of squish out, so make sure that while you're letting it dry, it's not going to dry onto something permanently that you don't want it to. Another option, if you don't want to draw your own creature, is you can find an old magazine or newspaper or something that has a nice pattern on it and use that as the back of your creature. I'm thinking Spider-Man's hand has a pretty nice pattern on it. So I'm going to get that centered where I think it would make a nice background for my creature, and just do the same thing where I'm going to trace around, trying to get on the inside if possible but knowing that I will probably have to trim that up a little bit. And then I'm going to see if that matches up, and again I've got a little bit sticking out, so I'm going to have to trim that just a little bit. Okay. And then this time, instead of me coloring something, I've got a little bit of Spider-Man as my background color there. And then we would do the same thing where we would glue the pebble onto the paper and then the eyes onto the pebble. Our final step is to transform our creatures into magnet creatures. So you should have a strip of magnet. This is a recycled from something that the city had put out. And when they were done with it, I thought, what's the point of throwing away all those perfectly good magnets? So you can rest assured this is recycled and reclaimed. And I'm just going to kind of free form a magnet and then see if it's about the right size. Just like with the paper, we want it to be covering but not sticking out too much. So I'm going to trim this up a little bit. All right. And then, oh no, I lost an eye. Okay, let's get that back on there. And then we'll just use the glue, again, like we did before, just a little dab. And the side of the magnet that has paper on it is the side we want facing in. So put a dab of glue and put our creature on there. And now your little friend is good to go on any metal surface. Again, when you're doing this, just make sure that you're not getting glue on any precious surfaces, and make sure that you give it time to dry. As you saw, my eye fell off when I rushed it a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed making these friends with me today. If you take some pictures of the ones that you made, I'd love to see them. You can email them to molinelibraryteens@gmail.com. Happy crafting!